Hey everybody, KC here. So school is either started or is about to start almost everywhere in the country. So it seems like a pretty good time to talk about education, specifically food education. Now listen, anybody who's been spending any time with Morning Newsbeat, paying any kind of attention, knows that we're big here on the notion of communication, on the notion of telling stories. And that's basically what education is, right? Education is the ability to communicate about whatever the issue happens to be. In the food business, if you are communicating about the products in your store, whether fresh or packaged, basically what you're doing is creating something that has real tangible benefits, because that kind of communication can be the foundation on which relationships with shoppers can be established. And these can be long-term relationships if the shopper finds the retailer to be a trusted source of information and product. You know, it was interesting. There was recently a survey done by the Harris poll for Whole Foods, in which they found that parents of kids under 18 reported spending an average of 27.2 minutes a week, which they said is equivalent to a cumulative of 24 hours a year, reading food labels or thinking about the ingredients in their children's food. And 87% of parents with kids under 18 are concerned about the ingredients in their kids' food. 69% report worrying less about these ingredients when shopping at a grocer that they know and trust. Now, here's the deal. I mean, Whole Foods commissioned the survey, so it is about Whole Foods, but it's not just about Whole Foods, right? These can be advantages that any retailer that decides to put its mind to it, they can reap these benefits as well. I will say one thing though. Somehow 24 hours a year spent paying attention to what's going into your kids' stomachs, that doesn't seem like a lot of time to me. It seems like time really, really well spent. Now, at the same time, Hy-Vee has announced that it's, quote, launched a free year-long program for schools to promote health, fitness, and nutrition. The Hy-Vee Kids Fit School Wellness Club allows students to build healthy lifestyles through educational programming and consistency throughout the school year. Now, basically, the Hy-Vee Kids Fit program has existed on a variety of levels since 2015, and this new program is designed to sort of bring it into the school environment. Now, again, this is about creating information-based relationships that, if it works, it's a win-win-win, right? It's a win for the students, it's a win for their parents, and it's a win for the retailer that is getting involved in this way. It's a really good idea that more retailers should take advantage of. I do hope, however, that whatever they're developing for the schools, I hope that they're keeping in mind that this is a TikTok generation, not a generation that wants information in traditional ways. That's probably something they have to pay attention to. Now, you know, it's true, I probably have a bias when it comes to talking about education. And it's not just because that I happen to be adjunct at Portland State University in Oregon. The fact of the matter is, I'm sort of an educational dilettante. I play around at it, but I'm not really invested in the educational experience. I do it because, quite frankly, I feel the rewards as much as I think the kids probably do. But that said, I have a lineage when it comes to education. My dad was an elementary school teacher, and then later an elementary school principal. And even when he was a principal, he liked to refer to himself as the principal teacher and would spend as much time in the classroom as he possibly could. He understood that the classroom is where the front lines are. And like retailers that should pay attention to what's going on in stores, because those are the front lines, he understood he had to be on the front lines of the educational experience whenever possible. And then Mrs. Content Guy has just retired from being a teacher, an elementary school teacher, after 20 years. Before that, she was a banker and a stockbroker. Took time off to raise the kids, and then spent 20 years as an elementary school teacher, just as retired. And now my daughter is actually, as you watch this, my daughter has just started in the same elementary school that my wife was teaching in. So I have a real educational lineage here. I'm the weak link in that chain. And the thing is, you know, from my perspective, as I think about it, you know, it's funny, when I was growing up, in the community where we lived, I was Mr. Coop's son. Okay, and then here in the town where we have lived for almost 40 years, I became Mrs. Coop's husband, and now I'm going to be known as Ms. Coop's dad. And you know something? That's okay with me. because I know the things that they're doing are so much more important than the things that I do. And I'm perfectly happy with the idea that I'm just tagging along for the ride and sort of riding on their coattails to some degree. Anyway, that is what is on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.